Hello everybody, it is Wednesday. And we are switching to the wrong camera because that's how we're going to start today off. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. We're here to talk about FPV and related activities, and maybe even unrelated activities, depending on what you're trying to listen to, or what you're trying to talk about. So, you let me know. Got a few people showing up in the chat here. Crunk's here. How's it going, Crunk? Rick Zapata. Private Island FPV. Is that name, are you on a private island? Do you FPV on a private island? That seems like a pretty good time. Is that international waters laws? How does that work? Eric Allen, how's it going, man? I am doing well. Just relaxing on a Wednesday, feeling okay. Drone Man says yellow. All right. How's it going, Drone Man? Yellow to you as well. Hey, Jared, I see Jared's over in my Patreon chat in the Discord. Thanks for being a patron over there, Jared. Just chilling tonight, hanging out. Doing live streaming. Just Because is here too. Drone Man says he has an issue. What is the issue? I hope it's something I can help you with. If not, maybe you can vent. If it's appropriate for the chat. Anthony Echevarria. Echevarria? I don't know. One of those, probably. Anthony asks, what do you think about the Acroby 75mm? I have not flown it, but Newbie Drone seems to be making good products as long as it's not, I haven't heard anything bad about that drone, I'll say that. So I like Newbie Drone as a company. I imagine that's going to be a pretty reliable drone. 75mm is a little bigger. It's not like going to be like as fast and nimble, but definitely seems to be a nice little quad. I think that's got the 40mm ASICs on it. So maybe I'll get a chance to fly that at some point. B-Man FPV's here. How's it going, man? Welcome. L. Leston's here. How's it going, Mr. Leston? Crunk says no black box on the Cricket FC. Big WTF at Newbie Drone. Yeah, it's pretty upsetting. I'm assuming there's not really any room on that flight controller. Let's take a look and see what we think about that. Cricket FC. Let's flip this over to the desktop. Welcome, new customer. Where do we think a black box chip would fit? I bet you could fit one. There's not a lot of room there. I'll give them that, but scooch the connector up and I don't know. I'm not a designer. I don't know how many layers is on this thing. I'll be honest with you. But you know, if you look at the, you know, these are the, I think this is just like an Infinity. If you look at the Infinity 300, no, 305. That's the ESC. Nope. What is the... I can't spell Infinity either. Not 200, right? There it is. What board is in this? Don't worry, I'll get there eventually. It was just the Infinity ESC. Anyway, this board has a spot on the bottom of it. I can't even show you, to solder the black box to it. And you can actually buy the black box chip for this board, but there's actually room on this board, so. Now I'm mad, I want to pull this up. Can I? Yes. I don't know why they didn't come up in the search earlier, but hey. So here, these are pads you can actually buy the proper black box chip. I've helped somebody do this before. If you get the one without the black box chip, and then you can solder it yourself. And black box works. It's unfortunate that there wasn't a way they could find a spot on the Cricket 200. But is what it is. Is there one on the Infinity 200? Probably not, right? No. Yep, it is unfortunate. I think black box should be on pretty much everything. I feel like there's got to be some way you could include it, but hey, what are you gonna do? Henry's here. Henry's chilling out. How you doing, Henry? He's ignoring me. But he's doing good today. He's sleepy. Sleepy dog. Eric Allen FPV says, I'm building my first DJI quad. If I'm going to run Crossfire, do I need to remove some wire from the harness between the air unit and the FC? So what you want to do is remove the S-bus wire. You can leave the signal ground wire, so that you only need to remove one wire, and that's just the S-bus wire. In some cases you don't need to remove that, but it's probably just better off to go ahead and remove it, because some boards use the same pads for Crossfire as they use for S-bus because they put all the receivers on one set, and then you won't be able to use that UART because you'll have S-bus coming in from the air unit or the Vista. Anthony says, yes, it looks good, like a good step up from the 65mm as carbon plate for stiffness. Yeah, I think they actually sell a carbon plate for the 65mm as well, like as an optional thing. Not 100% sure. Private Island says, just Patreon finally. Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that. Do have a Patreon. I don't want to show too much, but it's down in the description. You're welcome to hit that up if you want to support me. If not, that's totally fine. I appreciate it. Totally fine indeed. Drone Man says, so what I got is a HackRC F7230DFC, DJI FC, but says it can hook up analog. Let me look down a little bit. And the FC isn't getting power to the receiver or anything else. The question, I guess, would be, do you have the battery plugged in and like the ESC hooked up and stuff? Some boards will power the receiver and some boards will not power the receiver and other components depending on USB. So some of them will actually need the battery. Maybe something to look at. Let me know. L. Weston says, what's the best affordable Cinewhoop? I don't know that I have a good answer for that. Depends on what you want out of a Cinewhoop. Do you want a real Cinewhoop or do you want a ducted quad? What are you trying to do with it? Maybe that's the best question. Cannabis here, how's it going? Crunk says, every other 20x20 FC I have has black box. Why can't they? Yeah, I'm not sure. If it's FET style, like how many FETs they chose to include, or where they put the pads, or how many UARTs they've labeled out, or any of those things. Again, I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't look like there's a ton of room on that board. So maybe it's just about choices they made for IC components. Yeah, Anthony says, affordable Cinewhoop full speed pusher. Definitely is an option. It just depends, again, what you're looking for in a Cinewhoop. Glass Pound says, besides flying from inside your car, what's the best way to keep your hands warm in the freezing weather? All right, well, we could go over that real quick. My choices for that would be pull this up real quick. It's going to be this thing. You stuff your hands in. I actually have one in the other room. I can go grab it in a minute, but stuff your hands in here, and they stay all warm. And then my suggestion would be to also buy a pack of hand warmer case of something like these, like hot hands, and then crack open a couple of these guys and put them right in that the hand holdy deal, or in your pockets, so you can move your hands to there, and you'll be nice and toasty. They also make gloves. I just haven't tried them, but there are electric warming gloves. Let's see if we find what we want. Yeah, so something like this is also an option. These will just warm your hands, but then you've got to deal with the transmitter. You've got to actually move your fingers and stuff. So I think there's a thinner version of these that work fairly well, but maybe somebody can point them out in the chat. We'll pull them back up. Brandon D's here. How's it going, man? Welcome to the stream. Family Guyver's here. How's it going, man? Headphones are an awesome invention, sir, and I am happy that you're joining me today. Brandon D says, please help. iFlight SucksXD, such a terrible name. SucksXD F7 Twin G flight controller. I have one that has RX3 and TX3, and an identical one with SDA SCL written in place at the same spots. The rest of the board is identical. I'm lost. All right, well, let's play the Google game. So I'll show you guys what I would do in this situation, and you can join me, and let's see if we can find it together. So I would probably do something like this. There you go. Look, we've already come into a clue from my history. V2.1. I'm going to guess this is a part of our clue here. Let's find out the answer to your question. Does this claim... You said in one of them it has TX3, RX3. The other thing is we have to trust that the picture is accurate, which is probably also not accurate. Question is there a version label on the board? But that would be helpful. So I'm not necessarily expecting there to be one. Yeah, you're also not going to show me the bottom of the board. That's cool. Oh, maybe? Oh, just more board shots. I'm going to guess it's a 2.1 deal, but let's look for RX3, TX3, or SDA, SCL, and go from there. Yes, I see what you're talking about. There's R4, R5, but where you would expect R3, T3, there's SDA, SCL. So now, let's see if we can find, this is always a fun game, XXD, F7. Yeah, they're all 2.1s, it looks like. How many items do we have per page? All of them. Okay. So then we have to go to the internet and find it listed somewhere else. Then I would do like XXD F7 V2 and try to find an old listing. That's still got the SDA SCL. Let's just see if we can find one. Here you go. R3T3. Okay. This is likely the older version. So then what we want to do is look and see if they're a different target. So we're going to look in here. We can find a target. CLI config necessary. Check setup guide above. Where is the setup guide? That's not very helpful if you copy paste something from iFlight that they no longer have. This does look like a generic ass target, and then you paste a CLI configuration from iFlight, and it sounds like they just changed the CLI configuration between the board versions. So we go back over here. Firmware target iFlight F722 Twin G. So my guess would be, if everything in here is correct, that if you use this target, T3, R3 are going to be mapped to SDA, SCL, like this spot is going to be mapped to SDA, SCL. Now what I cannot tell you is if they changed it in the board, like if they actually changed the pin somehow, or if they just changed the routing. Hopefully that's some information that might help you. I don't know. Or maybe we just wasted a bunch of time, but oh well. Maybe somebody learned something. Get seeds right here. Get seeds right here is here. He's dabbing in the chat. Copter612 says, what do you think of the 20x20 AIO options out there? I'm not super... Is the Beast... The iFlight Beast is a 20x20, right? Before I start talking. No, that's a 25x25. 20x20 AIO. What 20x20 AIOs are there? There's the whoop ones. Looks like Flywoo has that Goku 20x20. I'm not sure. That's one I cannot give you an answer to. Crunked maybe has a good answer for that. Maybe somebody else in chat can give you some good answers to their personal experiences, but there's not a lot of options out there. L. Leston is looking for a ducted quad. Yeah, maybe like a That's going to be a tough one. Maybe like a diatone take-in, or if you want like a real Cinewhoop, you should build or buy like a built, like a geyser or a squirt. I mean, that's like a real Cinewhoop. There's a guy in Colorado here who has a cut version of the ducts. They're like shorter. Boy, if I cannot remember the guy's name. But there's like a shorter version of the duct that he's done extensive testing on and works very similarly. And it seems to be a really good option. If I can remember the name of it, I'll let you know. Drumman FPV says, yes, the ESC is all hooked up. Everything is hooked up how I think it should be. Motor tones, but no tones for the FC. The FC is not getting power somehow. Why don't you PM me in Discord or on YouTube? Or email me at itsbluntyfpv@gmail.com and let me help you dig into that. I want to look at wiring and stuff before I start telling you something wrong over the internet on a live chat. I just want to make sure we're looking at the same thing. Ninja Monkey FPV is here. How's it going, man? FPV Trucker is here. That's an interesting name. You're a trucker and you do FPV at your stops and stuff? What's cracking with you? The Amazon picture shows the one you have. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, there should be a CLI you need to find somewhere. The old version of the CLI instead of the new 722 target. I'm going to guess you need the old CLI version if you have TX3, RX3 in that spot. I just don't know necessarily where you're going to find that if iFlight has changed the page. I bet you could email iFlight. I'm sure, I bet you could do that. Jabby71 says, newbie here. Should I get a Tyrannus or a Radiomaster? Radiomaster all day, or Jumper if you really want to go that direction or something, but I would say Radiomaster TX16S, maybe the Max if you're trying to get spendy, just for the a little bit nicer, or like a Tango 2 if you're going Crossfire and you like a game style controller. I cannot support FreeSky in any way, so I would never recommend a Tyrannus at this point. Because FreeSky is pieces of shit. You heard me. All right. Guillermo's here. How's it going, man? I entered to say hello. Hello to you too, Guillermo. Good to see you. Everybody's also saying Radiomaster, which is great. Sleeping Bear's here. How's it going, man? Pedro Tome's here. Hello, Pedro. Brendan D says, thanks for looking at it with me. I cannot believe they have two exact same boards with different labels. It's unfortunately not surprising, but yeah, that happens. Mark Emerson says the JHE MCU 420 AIO. I think that is a 25 by 25 AIO. No, it is not. It's a 20 by 20. Heck yeah. Okay, let's flip over there. So it looks like JHE MCU also has a contender in the 20 by 20 market. Nice. 35 amps. That's a lot of amps for a tiny little board. Boy, that scares me, man. But hey, they make a fairly reliable Whoop board, so I would trust them to have a decent board. We should probably look at the other one that there was while we're here. Do they have it? All right, let's look at them all. HGLRC has a Zeus. That's also a 35 amp. I don't like HGLRC in general. I don't stock their products for a reason. So, you know, use at your own risk. But some people have success with them, so I'm not going to hate on them. Wow, there are quite a few on Pyrodrone. I think I was on RDQ or something earlier, and they were lacking a little bit. get FPV. Of course, they don't have everything. They have the Fly with Goku, which is a 20 amp. Seems more realistic, but they actually put them on the corners with these through-hole pads, which is interesting. HackRC has one. I don't know HackRC super well. Boy, there are a decent amount of options. I need to grab some of these, I guess, and try them out. See what they're like. All right. All right, let's make sure we're in the chat here. Jabby71 says, for an occasional flyer, should I get the Hull gimbals or not? I think they just last longer. They feel a little better maybe, but I think I would probably go Hull gimbals. Just go ahead and get them. That would be my recommendation. I'm in the right spot here. Crunk says, I'd get the Talon F7 DJI 30x30 all day over a Lumineer board. Yes. Oh, Sleeping Bear says, Lumineer F7 JB loved 70. Lumineer F7 JB loved $44. I don't know that JB still loves the Lumineer. That board, that Lux board is not doing great. If that's the Lux F7. It's definitely having issues with electrical noise in the gyro. I don't know if they've fixed that. They've said they fixed that, but then I've seen other logs of that. So I don't know that I would trust the Lumineer board. Talon F7 sounds like a good option. I've actually had good luck with the diatone boards. Sean's here. How's it going, Sean? Matthew Sabu's here. Bertel's here. Private Island says, tell us how you really feel about Free Sky. Yeah, I'm not interested in holding back punches on Free Sky. If a company is that shitty, I'm going to call them out. I'll wait for the changes. And then I'll tell you I was wrong. FPV Trucker says, I'm trying to fly in every state. That is awesome, man. That's pretty cool. Let me know how that goes. Do you have like a YouTube channel? Are you doing videos over there, maybe? We could check out FPV Trucker. Why doesn't YouTube let you click through? It's the worst design. If I or anybody else in the chat wants to go check out a channel, you can't just like click on FPV Trucker. There's not a drop down in the little dots. You've actually got to like search them. It's so annoying. Anyway, I'm interested to hear your progress. How many states have you done so far? Ninja Monkey says, iFlight customer service is janky. Haven't heard back from them. Yeah, unfortunately, that can be the case. Crunk says, AIOs are the worst. They are so fucking noisy. Yeah, you know, that's something everybody should really consider. You know, the noise, it's not just like, hey, are the FETs going to blow up? It's like, is there a bunch of noise on this board because they had to like sacrifice capacitors and shit? Or they had to like run traces too close together, or whatever exactly happens. In these cases, I'm not an electrical engineer. You know, the less noise, the more spaced out you get these components, the farther away from the gyro, I guess, the more isolated it is, the more capacitance you have in the line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All these things add to a cleaner board output, or a cleaner electrical rail on the board, I guess is the best way to put that. Anyway, that noise goes in your gyro. And maybe other components, but really can fuck shit up. Callie's here. How's it going? Put an iFlight Beast F7 in my Shark Bite T3. Hope to make time to learn black box with this to get it tuned. Awesome. I would check out the UAVtech.com for a basic tune on that, and then to learn some more about pit tuning if you haven't. He is really knowledgeable and knows his shit. If you want to pay somebody to tune it and you don't want to learn black box, or maybe have them give you some hints and maybe yeah, whatever. Crunked is also in the chat at crunkedquads.com, and Crunked does paid tuning for people. That's who the UAV Tech recommends as well. So. Yeah, a lot of people are offering Trucker to fly when they come by. I think a lot of people would be interested in that, for sure, man. Other people have had a lot of issues with HGLRC. I know Ciati hates HGLRC. Not hates, but Ciati had a lot of issues with HGLRC. MCP FPV says that edible I had last night made me sleep for 12 hours. Nice. That is my common, I normally lose a day, that's what I call it, when I eat an edible. JB Rocket FPV's here. How's it going, man? Anyone from CNY area? No, I don't know what that means. Chicago, New York? Or Chinese New Year. Hey, Fatboy FPV's here. How's it going, man? They are cheaper to buy with TX16S than to add them later. I would go a haul. I think Fatboy FPV has a store. Fatboyfpv.com, I do believe. Where you could purchase FPV goods and services. Probably, I don't know about services, but goods. L. Leston recommends Maytech boards. Hey, Brandon Bentley's Beans. Okay, a little different name this week, Brandon. He lives in Chico. Sleeping Bear says, I don't see no use for AIOs. People just want to save the weight, pretty much. I think that's about it, man. Brandon says, is that why my AIO log looks like ass? Yes, probably, as Crump agrees. Blythen's here. How's it going, man? Glad to see the stream. Glad to see you as well. Sorry about missing last week, guys. Apologize. A little back pain. Not doing the best with that kind of stuff, but I'm here to see you this week. Everybody's having a nice little chat in the chat. JB Rocket says that's Central New York in the Syracuse area. Nice, man. There's a few other people here from that area, actually. I think there's a decent scene up there. I'm not sure exactly where up there, but I actually have these gates in the background here. Hold on, can we get... Yeah. We Bleed FPV gates. We Bleed FPV is out of New York, I believe, and they do some local racing stuff up there. Very cool. FPV Trucker, let's talk about it, man. He says, I don't have the skills to post. Not a lot of acrobatics, just like to cruise. So let me tell you something. Here's something I've learned and something I would recommend to you. I would watch your channel regardless of your flight video, because I don't watch channels for flight videos. I would be interested in you blogging the experience. Now, whether you want to do that or not, of course, is up to you. But just letting you know, I would be interested in to see, like, hey, what's it like to fly here? I flew at a different elevation, and I'm a noob, and this is what it felt like. I'm learning, and I'm a little better in each area. Here's somebody told me to leave, and I'm not allowed to be there. You know, that sort of thing. Where could you find to fly? What kind of places are there to fly? 50 rest stops across the United States. You know, these are all ideas, and none of them require you to fly well. So just saying, I would love to see that content. Let me know if you do it. If flying well was important, many of us would not have a channel. Bill Grimes says, have you messed with Emu Flight yet? No, I really haven't. It's on my list of things to do. It's just, yeah, it hasn't come up yet. but I really have it on my list to knock out. Yeah, maybe some more news with that pretty soon. Get Seeds right here is trolling me a little bit. I will not be getting a shaven haircut. And I do not know who Jason is. I appreciate the comment. Crunk says, just got my Cinerat together. Interesting. Full fat tech. Flies amazingly as expected. But man, the Cinewhoop form factor is a weird one. But I get it. Interesting. So tell me why you get it. That's what I'm curious about. Because I'm still not... I don't know that I've still gotten all the way on board of the Cinewhoop thing, but yeah, I haven't built one yet. So, and I don't like... Honestly, I don't even fly a GoPro. But I'm curious to know how you like the Cinerat. FPV Trucker says, just an old man loving the hobby. Well, that's awesome, man. Glad to hear it. Mark Emerson says, what's the best music to listen to whilst punching a badger? Probably that old, the old meme song was like, badger, 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 mushroom, mushroom, snake. Pretty sure. You guys will know what that is. Pretty sure that's probably the best song. Seems like made for that, you know? Blythen says, slowly starting to break into vlogging. It's nerve-wracking putting yourself on the internet. Yep, 100%. It absolutely is. I'm still not comfortable with it. Like at all. But I'm just doing it. So that's something you got to do sometimes in your life, is you just got to do stuff. And the cool thing about vlogging and being on the internet is there's no negative, there's no downside other than wasting time. And if you're wasting time anyway, then you're wasting time anyway. Also, all that time on camera, all that time talking, all that time whatever is developing speech therapy, is developing understanding of the camera. Maybe you'll have to change the colors and now you start to understand color correction. Maybe now you start to understand what color temperature is because you got to know. What's ISO, what's shutter speed, like all these things that maybe you know a little bit, maybe you've got to learn more because now you're doing a vlog. And you're vlogging in different areas and stuff. Just what I'm saying is, maybe it's worth doing anyway, even if you're scared, because the worst case is nobody watches. I think Shroud likes to talk about the fact that he streamed to like one person, which was himself in another tab, for 2 years or something, like a year and a half. I mean, he capped out like 5 viewers max for like 2 years, and that's Shroud, one of the biggest gaming streamers of all time. So just remember that it's about learning to make content. It's about getting better. It's about progressing. It's about providing things for other people. It's about documentation, like all those kind of things. So don't sweat it and make it happen. L. Weston says it's very similar to what Skadoosh does. Yeah, kind of. Private Island agrees. We don't care about skill level at all. We love to see other areas, and we love to see each person's experience with FPV is different. Eric Allen says the same. Crunk says, but who is Jason? I'd love to know. Carbon Cage is here. How's it going, man? Carbon Cage FPV. Family Guyver. I think anybody who thinks they should start a channel should start a channel. There's a lot of people just making flight videos. So like, if you just make flight video, don't expect people to watch it as much. But if you want to start a channel, start a channel. You might learn some skills. You might have some fun. Maybe you'll learn more respect for people who make videos. Maybe you'll learn why you like videos and why you don't. All these things could be true. Or maybe you'll just waste some time. But weren't you wasting time anyway? Private Island FPV. I spent 4 long years getting great at building and fixing. My piloting has not been a priority and still is juvenile. But this week I started practicing. Steel, watch out. I love that attitude. Crump says, because it's kind of neat to fly it in a tight quarter. We're talking about the Cinerat again. Tune it right with slower rates. Much easier to be smooth and chill. And it's smaller than a 5-inch. Cinerat is really just a 3-inch. Yeah, that's kind of my question. Is this a 3-inch with prop guards, right? I could probably print prop guards and put it on a 3-inch. But yeah, I mean, it is cool to fly places and not worry. That's for sure. Carbon Cade says, my ethics Cinerat is a fat pig. My T-motors, Cinemotors get hot. Crump could probably give you some advice on that. If you give him some specs, I bet. Throw them in the chat. Let me know what the specs are on that thing. Maybe we can suss it out. How big are those motors and how heavy is that bitch? Steve King says, would higher elevation change the way your drone flies? Absolutely. I don't know what percent. I was actually trying to figure out what air density percent is the differences. I definitely think you could feel a difference. So Mr. Steele says S3 at sea level, S4 at Denver, S5 in the mountains, like at 10,000 feet. I don't know. That's just what his like general recommendation is. And then he also, I think, goes up by weight instead. So if you're like at ground level, but you're going up to like 750 grams or something, I think is the S5. He has a video on it. But that's just an example. Like I think, Steele would know. And I think I've filled it too. But I would say that there's at least some difference. Some people fly S3s here in Denver, but I think a lot of people push farther than the S3 or get used to flying a little bit weaker on the S3. Just because the air's thinner here at a mile. If you have experience flying in different air densities, that's the thing I don't have. So I haven't flown much at sea level versus this air density. So I can only speak to this. I'm interested to know what you think if you've flown both. But when I go up on the mountain, I feel like I can tell a difference. Could be placebo. But Glass Pound says, do you own any weed stock? I do not own any weed stock. Yeah, it just hasn't been in the cards for me. A lot of people are answering. Michael Fitzhenry says, has Whooptopia come and gone, or is it yet to come? It is yet to come. It's in February, I think February 8th and 9th, something like that. Medrone says, great to attend another Blunty live stream. Great to see you here, Medrone. Eric Toft is here. He says, what's your most memorable race? I want to give you a good answer. My most memorable race is probably the multi-GP race. I did a multi-GP online race because multi-GP was online. I did a Whoop race. I think I came in 6th or 5th overall in Whoops at multi-GP this year. It was obviously in the sim, so, but let's see if that's posted anywhere. Maybe it is. Let's see, multi-GP 2020 results. Virtual Open. That's what I'm looking for. Come on. Their website is slow. This is all not me. There's regular quads. Here we go. Tiny Whoop track. 7th. I got 7th. It's not too bad, right? I think that was the most fun though. It was just it was a bit of a different race. kind of in a different group of people because we always race with the same group with AK and stuff. So it was pretty cool. MCP FPV recommends crunked quads. Yeah, Crunk does know what he's doing, that's for sure. That is for sure. Cool. Bartel says 1507 on the Cinerat. But Crunk is using 1506 4300 kV 4S with cold motors. Fatboy FP, yeah, duck side weight and do little if your props aren't close to the duck. Yeah, they're basically prop guards, which is what I was hitting at earlier. Carbon Cage has issues on the 1507 3800 kV, so you should be good there. But again, Betaflight, that's tuning, that's filtering probably. Filtering versus general PID tuning, I would guess anyway. I don't know, maybe D stuff, but yeah, Crunk's giving him some options there. Buddha FPV says, I have a SWAT team fucking with the neighbors. Well, that's not good. Now I can legally grow. It's the first time not having a panic attack when the cops are close. Well, that's definitely good. Eric Allen says he did feel a difference going up to the mountains of Kentucky from sea level. Finley Guyver says, from experience, altitude definitely makes a difference on performance. Quad needs more throttle at higher altitudes to achieve same speeds with same props. Humidity also affects performance. Yeah, humidity should also change air density, I think. Well, is that true? Hold on. I mean, I guess it has to, right? That's kind of how math works, but let's just check a psychometric calculator. Pressure, humidity. Oh, I guess air density isn't on here. Enthalpy, specific volume. All right, well, that's too far down the rabbit hole for the stream. Let's see. Sleeping Bear asks, why buy an FC with a barometer? The easiest answer would be because you want barometer features. Yeah, Eric Allen points out for altitude with GPS. Yeah, and I think you have to have a barometer for iNav to do fancy stuff because you don't trust the GPS. I think that's correct. Blythen says, hey, Rab. Yeah, Rab is always up there, man. He's freaking killing it. People talking about Ciati in the chat. Mr. Ciati FPV is also streaming. That's cool, man. Go check Ciati out if you're into that as well. I think it's Whoop Wednesday over on Ciati stream. Fatboy says there's a meth bust. Is that? I'm sure that's in reference to the SWAT team that Buddha FPV has going on. Yeah, Crunk says, it's kind of funny, these 1506s are some of the notchiest micromotors I've ever used. Yeah, no tuning issues. Yeah, Crunk, I have come to believe that, I don't want to get the name wrong, but I'm going to, because I get so many messages on Discord, it's very hard to go back and look at who sent me what. I want to say it was Aber the Ham, but somebody was talking to Ciati about Nachi motors and talked to me about it as well. And I do believe he was correct. I don't think that Nachi matters because the strength of the magnet when it is not electrified should not matter once it is electrified. And it's electrified during the time at which it crosses, and it would matter, right? So that's my opinion. So I don't think it matters. I don't think the notchiness is a real thing. I think it just feels like it's a thing. You do the motor and you're like, look at it. It's like bam, 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 and it feels like it's going to be notchy. I have a feeling that's just the way they're built, and that's the way the magnets are built. And it doesn't actually have anything to do with the vibrations in the quad or any like feel in the motor. But I still would like to compare notchy versus not notchy like over a large range. But I do believe the science saying it's probably not making a difference because it's an electromagnet. Let's see. Sleeping Bear looks like he's heading out. Glad you were here, man. Good luck on that Luminaire F7. It's very possible it'll be fine. Just keep an eye on it. And if you're having tuning issues and you can't deal with them, look at UAV Tech, talk to Crunked and stuff. If you're just having issues with it, it doesn't clean up. There's some things to look at. I think Luminaire F7 had problems on pitch, and Kakute F7 had problems on roll. But maybe somebody who can remember will tell me that. But you're going to look at your pitch axis on the filtering and see how dirty it is. That's going to be an indicator if you've got one of the ones with a bad gyro. Crunk says, yeah, I don't really think it's a thing at all. Ciati goes on and on about it, which I think is BS. Yeah, I haven't experienced it myself. My 3-inch flies great, and it's got notchy as shit Emaxes on it. Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it's just placebo. I mean, placebo is very fucking strong. There's some drugs we can't use because placebo beats them, and there are drugs that actually work. So, such is life. Steve King says, would an air unit be a plus on a long range than analog? Depends on what you're doing, but if you're talking about 5.8 gigahertz analog, I think in most cases DJI will outrange 5.8 gigahertz analog. If you're going any lower than that, or you're going up to like, I'm going to guess 2 watts or maybe 2.5 watts on the analog, then it's going to be a little different. It just depends on kind of what you're doing and where you're going. Also, I would not use stock antennas if you're actually trying long range on DJI, but there are multiple people that have made it out to the 8-mile mark, and they've got like 5 megabit per second, so it's not amazing. I would definitely have return to home on a long range regardless, but I do think an air unit is fine versus analog. Unless you're like 2.4 or 1.3, and then it totally changes. Locrian says, did you ever happen to find anything about the FCC filing for the V1 Vista? I guess we can rely on the air unit FCC filings if nothing else. So Locrian is mentioning that I was actually looking for the FCC filing for the Cadex Vista. I was not able to locate it. I talked to Cadex about it, and Cadex, through their chat support, may not be the most reliable. Says they don't actually have an FCC certification. It's still pending for the original Vista. So I'm not too concerned about it actually having the registration. It is what it is, the certification. The more concerning thing is just that we won't know if a new Vista is coming because we can't check the FCC certification documents, which is what we do for the air unit. So, if there's a new air unit coming out, or the new goggles or the new drone, you can just check the FCC filings and you'll know ahead of time. But unfortunately, if the Vista's not filed, then we're not going to know. And maybe we'll get a surprise Vista. I've heard rumors I can share that there'll be a new Vista in March, but those are very loose rumors, which is why you're just hearing them. And if I hear anything better, I will let you know. KD2RDH Larry's here. How's it going, man? Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you here. Private Island FPV says, I love being wrong because it means I just learned something. Some people have a more difficult time with it. They think being right is the important thing. I just like facts. So there's a couple of things to that. One is that people build their worldview around being right, or the thing they're right about helps form their worldview. So the more you've spun up the web, right, or spun up this whatever, the ball of this wrong information, giving you data, then the worse you're going to do when you try to unravel that ball. It's a lot more work. It's not pleasant, you know. It's unfortunate. I come from the hippie lands, okay? I might not tell from my appearance, but I have once been a hippie. Some consider me a hippie. And when you're at festivals, they use a term for psychedelics, heavy psychedelic users, called a spunion. And a spunion is someone who has been spun so many times, where they've done acid so many times, or whatever psychs, and they've gotten raveled up, and they've had trouble unraveling it. It's over and over again, and they call them a spunion because they've become this layered thing that's like less person and more onion, if you want to think about it like that, because it's so layered. It's so hard to unpeel because you just keep going, and there's more layers of onion to unpeel. And this happens with everybody, not just psychedelic users. It's just something you recognize from the psychedelic world, or at least I do. And so people get spun up in everyday life. And this is one of those cases. People just sometimes get spun up about an idea, and then it takes work to unravel it, to unravel the ball of yarn, to unravel the thing. And that takes a conscious effort. Sometimes it's hard. Don't blame people for not doing it. That's what I would say. Because it's not the easiest thing in the world, and everybody's got some shit going on. All you can do is provide the information, help them see the light, and it is what it is. Maybe I've given you guys some festival education. Spunion. Good term. All right, where were we? Back to the FPV talks. Steve M's here. How's it going, man? Welcome to see ya, Steve M. Ryzex. Hey, man, can the Cannabis Vista unit ever get hot enough to melt or burn silicone spacers or wire, even with the 1200 milliwatt mod? Probably not. Maybe. But what I would say is the Cannabis Vista has a secondary heat protection. I think the air unit has it as well. So even if you disable like the low temperature protection on the Vista, if it gets too hot, it will actually self-regulate way down and then like have an emergency. It's like an emergency mode. So I don't think it'll get that hot because it tries not to cook itself if it can help it. Matthew Savage says, what do you think about the Tiny Hawk 2 Micro? Tiny Hawk 2 is a great quad, man. There have been some issues with those Emacs boards. They seem to replace them, but it depends on your experience with Emacs support. I think the Tiny Hawk 2 was a great early quad for me. It was like my second or third quad, and I beat the crap out of it. I flew in spec races with it. It is not a 65, so it doesn't race quite the same, but it definitely takes a beating pretty well. I was pretty impressed. I killed mine by putting it in a fish tank, and then proceeding to try to fly it right after over and over again and killing fets. But if I had let it dry, I think it would have been fine. Ryzex says, what's up? How's it going, Ryzex? No problem. Private Island says, you know what I'm talking about. It collapses the house of cards they built with all the lies they keep telling themselves and believing. Yes, just remember that a lot of people don't tell those lies on purpose. So when they try to unravel them, they don't feel like they've done anything wrong, and then it feels really bad to have to unravel them. So I always have confidence in people. I try to anyway. Dragon Master FPV is here. I would think DJI owns the patent for the Vista, and they probably own and has the FCC clarification for it. I have dug through every FCC filing DJI has ever done, and it is not in that. Don't worry. I checked. So it's not under DJI. If it's under somebody else, that's cool, but it's not under DJI or anybody named Cadex. Steve M says, I've learned more from being wrong than ever being right. Absolutely. So Maddox says, let's talk about wooks now. I think I'm considered a wook by most. Bertil says, solder melts well before silicone. Yeah, if you've got silicone wire, you should be good there. Private Island says, Bounty is wise. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do not believe you're going to melt that silicone. I think you're fine. That being said, I have mine hooked up like with the little plug in most cases. I unplug that plug when I have to plug in the battery to like do some ESC work so that I don't power the Vista if I don't have to. That being said, I don't think it's going to kill your Vista. That's what I'll say. This is an interesting thought. Let's think about it. KD2RDH Larry says, I tried being wrong before. I didn't like it as much as just being ignorant. Now, I don't know if that's a joke or not, but here's what I'll tell you. It's hard to know where you're ignorant if you don't let yourself be wrong so that other people can help you be informed. That's what I would say. If you're afraid to be wrong, sometimes it can be hard to tell when you're wrong or right. So, something to consider. Get Seeds right here says, is a modern day hippie a wook or a hipster? A hippie is not a hipster at all. Even a modern day. I think a modern day hippie is a wook slash okay, new term, neo-wook. How about that? It's a neo-wook because it's a little more modern than a wook, but they're still wooks. Like I would consider myself a neo-wook. A wook is definitely a hippie. Somatic. I think this is getting semantic, but I would call a wook a hippie. At least we always have. That's for sure. Is this one of those things where a wook is a hippie, but a hippie is not a wook? A rectangle is a square, but a square is not a rectangle. Yes, okay. Semantic agrees. Eric Allen points out, when you're given wrong information, you tend to give out wrong information. Correct. The thing is to start understanding with self-analysis what you actually know and what you think you know. Can be hard. CGK FPV is here. Hey, how's it going, man? I'm glad you like the dog cam. Everybody loves the dog cam. You don't need to see my face in the whole screen. There's no reason for that. You see my face anyway. People want that for some reason, so we do it. But why not also include the adorableness of Mr. Henry? Also, if anybody is just joining us, I'll just show you real quick. I'm not ending the stream or anything, but check out, this wonderful picture of Mr. Henry here. If you haven't seen it, here, let me see if I can make... Oh, we're about to get wild here, guys. Hold on. Bear with me. Oh, snap. Look at that. Look at that adorable dog right there. All right. He's the mascot. Dog break. Larry says, I am now wrong about how to be ignorant. Yep. Just having some conversation, man. Kid Seeds right here asks a vital question. Let's ask the chat, guys. If you think an SUV is a truck or not, let's put that in chat. Is an SUV a truck? That's a simple question. Is an SUV a truck? Yes or no in chat. We got people who need to know. This is vital information. It may be regional, it may not. But we will find out. Is an SUV a truck? Well, there are a large number of people that are saying no. Wow, this is way more decisive than I thought it was going to be. What have you done? Get Seeds right here. What have you done? Wow. Get Seeds right here. Oh my gosh, this is we need to tally these up. Speedy Turtles here. How's it going, man? Good to see you. Wow, so many. Rob Schlitt is here. How's it going, man? Johnny DRC, Six Pack. Everybody's coming out of the woodwork to let us know. Okay, let's look at some of these arguments. This is very interesting. Evil Genius says it's a sport utility vehicle. Wait, isn't a truck also a utility vehicle? It could be used for sport? That's a question. Double A says depends on the chassis. Eric Allen says station wagon with bigger tires. Ryzek says might be the actual correct answer. Is an SUV a truck? No, not unless it's classified as a crossover. Okay. Is a dog a cat? Larry says. Oh man, somebody's going to be happy with this chat, that is for sure. CGK says, no, it's a hatch with a lift. SUV is a sport utility vehicle. If there's a bed, then it's a truck. Can you run a poll in a live stream? Like pasting a, I could paste a straw poll. Let's try a straw poll. Okay, great. Okay, you guys, if you could see that straw poll link, go to that link. Let me know. Is an SUV a truck or not? Let's find out what people think. This is incredibly one-sided. Double A says, if I was to go buy a truck, I would not search SUVs. Fair enough. Evil Genius says, Definition of a truck, a wheeled vehicle for moving heavy articles. So that sounds to me like you could move heavy articles in an SUV as well, but it depends on what you define as heavy. It doesn't really matter what I think, though, because right now, this is insane. It's not even close. Is an SUV a truck? 23 votes for no, it's not a truck. 4 votes for yes, it's a truck. I just went a little Christopher Walken there, but regardless. Wow. Is an SUV a truck? The answer definitively is clearly no, it's not a truck. So thank you, chat. I do appreciate giving me the answer to that question. It is not a truck. Fat boy, I'll look into that. Maybe there's a bot. You could probably get a bot with Streamlabs that does that. I will check that out. Crunk says the actual definition of what heavy is your mom. Touche. Ah, sorry. I should have had it depends on that, or it's based on the chassis. Al Weston says, truck in the U.S. is a manly thing. James Larry is here. How's it going, James? He says nope as well. Mr. Syncopad has an actual FPV question. Let's find out what that question is. On the fence where to advance in this hobby, 5-inch, Cinewhoop, or Beta 95. I'm in production too. What kind of production? But my answer is going to be learning to fly is going to be much better in the long term than anything else. So if you're just like learning, or if you're just trying to learn to fly, I would maybe go 5-inch and just like do a bunch of freestyle practice. That being said, for production, something like a Beta 95 V3 with an SMO 4K is not a terrible idea. The Cinerat seems okay. A real Cinewhoop like a Squirt, I think it depends. You need to look at what video you're going to use. Like, what is a client going to ask you to do? What prospective clients do you have? What jobs could you work? I think that's more the thing that I would do. What kind of production are you in? Fatboy FPV says an El Camino is a truck. Now that's another question entirely. Private Island says some men need their SUV to be called a truck and will fight you over it. Fair enough. Double A says Ciati's been simming a truck game called SnowRunner. Yeah, that's a pretty cool little game. I played Mudrunner and SnowRunner a little bit. I think Bardwell was playing that one day. I was hanging out with him while he was playing SnowRunner with his kid. Makenda Bacon. That was Makenda Bacon. That is not a name. Macon de Bacon says, try telling the DMV it's not a truck. Fair enough. Mr. Syncopad says, film adverts and so got a 5-inch already in the hobby. Already in the hobby 3 years. Okay. In that case, I'd probably do something you could put a nice camera on if you're, because your 5-inch already can get shots from a 5-inch. So. MB Edits says, truck, SUV is the same as pop, soda, Coke, etc. That's fair. It's very possible it's regional. Speedy Turtle says, I still think a truck has a bed. Very fair. Evil Genius, has anyone gotten that GPS script to work on TX16S from the news? I have not tried to do that yet. Unfortunately, I have a T16, but yeah, I have not tried to make that work yet. I'm not a GPS user, so. But that was a Bardwell recommendation to me, actually. He's the one who put that on the list, so I believe he has used it or talked to someone who has. Maybe he's the guy to ask on that guy. Private Island, given the real answers, it all comes down to what the SUV identifies as. Very true. It is 2021. Stop assuming my vehicular identity. Kenji FPV says, Bunty, what's your take on juicy flying? I think you should fly however you enjoy flying. If you want people to watch the video, then that depends on your audience. But I think juicy is perfectly fine. It looks like a lot of fun, and it gets some cool effects on the camera. So I think you should fly how you want. CGK FPV says Mackenda Bacon. I'm pretty sure I went to school with a girl named Mackenda Bacon. Medron says, have you ever met Bardwell in real life? I have not met Bardwell in real life. So Fatboy FPV's question, have you smoked with Bardwell, is also a no. I don't think Bardwell smokes, but I mean, maybe he does rarely, but. Speedy Turtle says, I love my Green Hornet. Awesome. Yeah, that seems like a cool little quad. JB Rocket FPV says, I did do the GPS to test it. Works nice and try to feel safe, and the Lua correctly shows the location of the quad on a TX16S. So there's at least one person. Mr. Syncopad says, best Cinewhoop motor. I'm in Europe. Also, do mounting holes vary on frames? Yes, mounting holes vary. So you definitely need to check that. Best Cinewhoop motor, it depends on what you're looking for. I think the kebab motors, the flat pancake motors, I think they're 2203s or something. Seem to be a decent option. There's like a 2003 that seems like another option. I like the pancake style, but also a lot of people fly 1507s, 1506s as a standard Cinewhoop motor as well. That seems to be the two paths to go. Either like that pancake version or just going with the old style. Steve M says, have you tried the Wing Sim? Tending my cover crop, having a good laugh with this conversation. Awesome, man. I have not tried the Wing Sim. It's a bit expensive for me for a simulator that just does wings. I'm not really into wings too much. If it's a little cheaper, if it ever goes on sale, maybe I'll check it out. Or if there's like a demo. Is there a demo? I don't think there's a demo because I haven't tried it. So. June Loco says, what's the risk of running my AIO ESC with a missing microcapacitor off the ESC? I'm not an electrical engineer. Everything you hear after this point and before this point is not given to you by an electrical engineer. So if you break something, it's not my fault. I think most capacitors are in parallel. So you're just changing the overall capacitance in that section, possibly just on that motor, possibly just on that output. I'm not exactly sure. You're probably fine. In theory, it would cause more noise, but there also might be a minimum capacitance or something required, so your mileage may vary. Also, are you sure it's a capacitor and not a resistor? Speedy Turtle says 2004. Yeah, 2004 motor. Yeah, Pancake. Bertel says get Pancake. Seems like that's the way to go. Mr. Syncopad says, thanks, man. Smoking one for you. Smoking one for you as well, sir. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Sequoia. But Sequisha is a video game streamer. And whenever Sequisha takes a hit of his vape, he turns himself all black with a filter, so you can't actually see what he's holding. So that might be a way in the future where I smoke on stream. I don't think I want to like openly smoke on stream. Just want to bring that up. But CJK FPV is on the same train as me. Do you do dab time on here? I do not, but maybe in the future. Maybe in the future. Something to consider. Andy Cooper's here. How's it going, man? Good to see you. Kamikawa says, please dab time. Glass Pound says it's just hemp. I can hope, but you never know what people are going to do. You never know. Andy Cooper says, what's up, dude? Ever smoke or grow ATF? Alaskan Thunderfuck, I'm assuming you're talking about? I have never smoked or grown it. I've heard great things about it. It's just never come across my desk. What's the cross on that? Let's take a cannabis break here. Who do we believe? Probably not any of these companies. What's the fucking name? Go here. If you're looking for strains, this is where I normally go. It's not perfect, nothing's perfect, but this is like a little better to me. At least sort of find stuff here. There we go. Twisty Seeds, don't know who that is, but I'm also not good with genetics. You know, if Get Seeds right here's in the chat, he'll definitely have an answer for you. Or likely will. So let's see what the cross is. A North American sativa crossed with Matanuska Thunderfuck. So what is this? Unknown origin from the Matanuska Valley. This tells us a lot of nothing. A lot of nothing. It's not native. Okay, well, not very helpful, huh? Not very helpful. Half the people are like, dab time. And half the people are like, what you put on there is forever. Well, my career is cannabis consultant, so I don't think dabs are going to, like, kill my career. I think it's okay to be online. The concern is more like, am I going to get demonetized for smoking weed on YouTube? So they can steal all my ad money. We'll find out. Andy Cooper starting a grow of ATF. Kind of rare and hard to find. Well, Andy, if I'm ever in your neck of the woods, I'll have to give it a shot. Johnny D says too many kids are watching online. Well, that's what I was talking about with the blackout, you know, where I'm like, it's dab time, but then they don't know what it means because, you know, you black out the screen and then you're dabbing in the butt. Anyway, we'll see what happens. KD2RDH Larry says, are dabs popular with lots of people or just an FPV? The only people I've ever heard people mention dabs are FPV people and the police. That's because FPV people are the same people as, seems to be, the same people as like the skaters and the delinquent crowd and stuff. Like the people who aren't afraid to do stuff like that. If you've ever worked at like, I don't know, anywhere minimum wage or around that level, everybody I know there is dabbing. Everybody I know they're smoking a lot of weed. So I think it really just depends on where you're at and who you're interacting with. Let's see. Ratatat RC Flyer says, what's up with shark bite? I have HDO2, so is it worth getting? You know, Larry in the chat might be able to give a good bit of information about that for you. He's had some trouble with shark bite, but he's also had some success with it. So I can help you out. MB Edits says, RA, working on a 2-inch build, and I think I fried my VTX. It's the Mamba AIO from Diatone. Lights up still, but no lights on the transmit mode. Yeah, unfortunately, if it's an integrated VTX, there's not a lot to troubleshoot there because the power's already run for you. Make sure you have a battery on it. So that's, so you're actually seeing the light. Johnny D says, smoke so much for pain, I can't get relief anymore. Yeah, it's not like heavy relief for me, but if I don't smoke, I have quite a lot of pain, so. It's like relative, like the tolerance sucks, but. MB Edit says, I had it soldered to the bat pad on my HDLRC flight controller. Oops, because the Mamba TX500 shows a 5-volt on its plug. Well, there you go. Look, you're figuring some stuff out. That's probably going down the right pathway. McKenda Bacon says, did you sell out all your Crossfire stuff? I did not. I still have all my Crossfire stuff. James Laria says, you silly kids in your weeds. Yes, us silly kids in our weeds. Oh. That's funny. Mr. Shady says FPVers are skaters that don't want injuries. That's a good one. Johnny DRC says, Doctor put me on fentanyl, it doesn't help. Let me give you a recommendation, Johnny D. If it doesn't help, then you need to come back off of fentanyl. I was addicted to fentanyl for 4 months. It was the worst experience of my life. So if it's not actually helping, you need to get off of it because the withdrawals are insane. Much worse than heroin. Much worse. Much worse. If you need Suboxone to get off of it, I'm sure the doctor will help you with that too, or you can find somebody to help you. Just throwing that out there because it's like fentanyl is rough. Been there. S. Burnham says, my Mobula 6 HD on a 75 frame is losing the video feed after powering up. Initially, it's displaying video. Not sure what to check. How long is initially? Initially is rough, man. That's a strange one. Like going on and then off makes me think like capacitor or battery drain or something. Or like, or there's like a BEC when your like rails is dying, something like that. Let's see. Eric Allen says, I want to get off Subutex. Any suggestions? So here's what I'm going to tell you. I was never addicted to Suboxone or Subutex on purpose. Because I had a lot of friends tell me how bad it was. I used 8 milligrams. I think it was 8. Whatever those like they're the ones you put in your mouth. They're the dissolved strips of Suboxone or Subutex, and they're like a 8 milligram square. And I remember I got one 8 milligram square. That was all I got because I got it off the deep web, and I was addicted to fentanyl for 4 months. And I did half of the Subutex the first day, and I did half of it the next day. So I did 4 milligrams the first day, 2 milligrams the next day, a 1 milligram the next day and a half a milligram the next day, and just kept cutting it until there was nothing to cut anymore. And I sat on the couch and my legs shook and I didn't sleep and I couldn't eat and I felt like shit. And all I could think about was redosing fentanyl. And it took months to get off of it, but I didn't redose and I stayed off of it. So it's rough. That's what I can tell you. Being addicted, I've heard being addicted to Suboxone and Subutex is actually worse than fentanyl or anything else, which I can't speak to. So I'm sorry that you're on it. All I can tell you is try to taper. Do the best you can to taper. I don't know. It's tough. It's not easy. Steve M says tincture all day. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good hanging out with you, Steve M. Mr. Shady says, my Mob 6 video cuts when the battery gets low and I do a punch for a flipper roll. Then it comes back if I land or crash. Yeah, I think it's dropping under the minimum voltage for the 5-volt regulator to power the camera or the VTX. That's what I would guess. A lot of people here also with opiate things. So that's actually really cool. I had no idea there were that many people. Yeah, if anybody ever wants to talk about something like that, you are always welcome to private message me or email me at itsbluntthefpv@gmail.com. I have no qualms about talking about stuff in my life. I've done every drug under the sun except PCP, I think. That's about it. I've done synthetic PCP too, like MXC. I did MXC, so I'm not afraid to talk about this stuff because if you talk about it, there's like the stigma is gone, and we don't want the stigma because there's no fucking reason for the stigma. Yeah, we should actually have a conversation about it. Not talking about it is what gets people on it. I don't want to go too far into this, but I'll just say I lost a friend to overdose. And he originally got on drugs, on opiates, because he didn't know what they were. His doctor gave them to him when he was 15 for a car accident. And since then, he was hooked on them and could never get off of them. Turned to heroin and then overdosed. So all that I will say is, while there are other people at fault and there are other situations at fault, and there are a lot of things that happen in people's lives, giving a 15-year-old synthetic heroin without them understanding what it is part of the problem. And so we have to educate people. That's what I'll say. I don't want to like preach forever here, but something to know. Private Island says, thanks for sharing. I'm happy to share, man. If you ever do want to share again, you're welcome to share to me in private if that helps you. I'm always there to talk to you. Yeah, Speedy Turtle says 2 years clean other than the sub, man. That's awesome. Anytime clean is good. You know, I'm sure you know that. But every day is a achievement, and every day is another day you got to live your life where you're not under the power of the drug, and that's awesome. A lot of people are sympathizing. That's very cool. Very cool. My kin to bacon is asking, what's the name of my FPV store? That's WeSellQuadParts.com. I'll type it in the chat. WeSellQuadParts.com. And I actually do have some tracers in stock. If anybody needs a tracer kit, I have some tracer micro kits in stock too. So Mouse FPV shares that his brother got hooked on oxy temporarily, the same way my buddy did. We got him clean, but yeah, doctors make mistakes for sure. Yeah, the problem is a lot of times, man, if people get the right feeling from that oxy, you know, they might never feel that again. And some people just want to feel that feeling. And it's unfortunate. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about. So all that I'll say is it's not about that. It's about like moving forward with your life. So you can't be a slave to the drug. And I'm proud of all of you who are working through something, or who have worked through something, or who want to work through something. So. Mr. Syncopad says, okay, so let's say FPV cycle 2003 motors. Does the Holy Bro Copus, I'm gonna guess that's Copet, but Copus, fit that frame or fit those motors? So let's find out. Let's drag this on over here. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-ba. Let's change the screen over. All right. Is this the right one? I think it's the right one. Probably the best way to find out. I'm sure these have the normal mounting pattern, but we can just double check. So we'll go check and see. Come on. Oh, why would you tell me the mounting pattern? That would be useful. Specifications. There we go. Okay. By 12. So that's what this means is 12 is your diameter here. So 12 by 12 is the motor layout. Then we're just going to go look at the FPV cycle 2003. Those are the 2203. Does FPV cycle not make a 2003? Am I wrong? Probably. Wow, cool. What is happening? Do I have to look this up on a real race day quads? I have seen 2003 motors. I'm not crazy. Somebody link me. I know there's a 2003, but okay. 2203. That's the FPV cycle motor, right? So then what are these? Are these a 12 by 12? Yes. Yeah, these is fit in a Copus. They sure would. Did I not have that? Oh well. Oh well. Somatic FPV says, do you sell locally in Colorado? I do pick up here in Colorado. I don't have like a store. But yeah, I do sell locally in Colorado. If you want to make a pickup here so you don't pay shipping, you're welcome to do that. Sean reminds me that I have a live stream chat in the Discord. I sure do. Also, people are messaging me as always. Let's see. Venom in the live stream chat in my Patreon Discord says, hey Blunty, what's your take on the DJI controller V1? I think it's too expensive. That's my answer. Like way too expensive. It seems cool. I would probably wait on the V2 controller to come out. I don't know the compatibility of it, but I would assume it should be compatible with the DJI Air unit and the Vista. And if that's the case, then I would wait for the V2 controller and possibly buy that. The V1 is just too expensive. If the V1 was like 125 bucks or something, then that would be great. What are you doing over there? The dog's getting wild over there. Let's see. Mouse FPV asks, what is my end game for FPV? Full-time job, just for fun, the next Bardwell? Where do I see myself in the hobby? If I can ever figure out like, my dog is ridiculous. If I can ever figure out, like, what I'm actually going to do for video content, then I will probably, like, continue to make video content. I just want to make sure that I'm interested. It's very important for me to be interested and enjoy doing this and having these conversations with you guys and, like, staying up on FPV and, like, following the news and stuff. So I don't want to burn out. Right now, I really like the groove that I'm in, and this slowly building and stuff works out great for me. There's a small bit of Patreon that I have, and that, along with my day job as a cannabis consultant and the work I do for Bardwell, pays my bills. So I'm happy to do that. My goal is to work as little as possible, to spend time with you guys, and to make fun content that everybody enjoys. And hopefully I'll stay interested in FPV, and it'll stay exciting, and I can continue to troubleshoot and help people with FPV. I do end up seeing myself, like, doing other stuff a little bit, but I don't think I could ever do what Bardwell does as far as making 5 videos a week or whatever. Like, I don't see that happening. But maybe like 2. Maybe like 2. Eric Allen says, I just talked my way into another patron. That's awesome, man. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Johnny DRC says, my new 4-inch 6S smoked when turtle mode. Yeah, you got to be real careful about turtle mode, man. Unfortunately, smoke stuff's so easy. Me Drone says, are you pumped for the DJI drone? Pumped may not be the best word, but excited, yes. I do think it will be awesome. I do think it will be awesome to see the adoption of FPV take off, hopefully. You know, that's the dream, I would say, is that, like, FPV takes off like crazy because people learn about FPV and they get into DJI and they buy the goggles, and then suddenly they realize, like, oh, I can just buy an air unit or an air unit pre-built quad from iFlight or somebody and fly FPV with all these other people. I think that's yeah, I think that's really cool. So I think it'll bring more people to the hobby, and it will only be better. But we'll see what happens. JB Rockets out. Good night, man. Take it easy. Burritos is here. How's it going, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. How many people we got in the chat? We got about 81, 82 people hanging out. Good to see everybody tonight. Crunked reminds us that blocked props equal a bad day. That is very true. KD2RDH Lawrence, as Private Island says. Larry says, burnout with making videos for a living would happen to me very quickly. Plus, you need to answer questions all the time. Way too much for handle for this cat. See, the thing I like is the questions. That's what I'll say. I don't mind the questions at all. The problem is I make, like, a video that I spend 3 hours on and get half edited, and then I delete it all and throw it in the garbage. It's not very good. And that happens over and over again. So, yeah, that's life. But I keep the quality content high here, but unfortunately that means you don't get a lot of content. Is what it is. Johnny D made a new frame for 3-inch 3S, and it's a blast. That's awesome, man. I do enjoy the TP3 on 2S, but also 3S I'm sure is a blast. Fluoxetine, there's another drug reference, says, do you play simulators using goggles or even VR goggles to get enormous immersive FOV? I do not. I get sick as soon as I put those goggles on trying to play a simulator for some reason. Does not work for me. So I also enjoy my 144 hertz monitor. So So I'm a big fan of knocking that out. Evil Genius got his GPS Lewis script to work. That's awesome. Jared in the chat asked for the Lewis script. If you check out, Jared, if you check out, sorry, that was a while back. If you check out, if you're still here, the FPV news from yesterday, me and Bardwell did, then you'll see in the description there's timestamps. You can check that out. That is the community spotlight. Eric Allen's got to go to work for an hour. Probably see you next time, man, but thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Johnny D likes having someone to talk to. Well, I like being here to talk to you guys, and I'm glad you're hanging out. Definitely appreciate it. Speedy Turtle's happy that my channel's growing. I really am happy that my channel's growing as well. The Bardwell videos obviously are helping immensely with that. Mouse FPV says, when someone gives you $2 a month, problem is when somebody gives you $2 a month and suddenly feels entitled to your attention, and you feel guilty not giving it to them. I can see how that gets tiring. It does. It's kind of a balance of you have to understand, like, hey, people are paying money, but they're also paying money for what I've done. So, you know, you live and learn. I'm happy to provide what I can for you guys. And if you feel like that's worth money, then that's how I look at it. Then that's just a bonus. Let's see. Philosophies says, I wish there was an Octo AIO for use with Small or Big Baby by Shen drones. Yeah, I think that's going to need a company to make an Octo. You know, maybe Flywoo will make an Octo and they'll produce an AIO for their Octo like they did the Hex. That would be interesting. But right now, I think it's based on like somebody would need to make it for a good reason. Because I don't know how many people are going to buy an Octo AIO. You kind of need like, hey, I'm going to make 1,000 of these things and I'm going to put them in bind and flies, and that's how they're going to leave. Ryzek says, as a Patreon of mine, he can honestly say the Discord chats he has with me are worth the subscription alone. So I really appreciate, man. That's so much, so many kind words there. Always happy to help you guys out. If you ever want to talk to me or need any help, always here for you. Medrone says, I thought Lewis script was Lewis grip for so long. That's a good one. Misheard words or lyrics are the best. For anybody who doesn't know, a Lewis script, that's L-U-A is the script. I don't remember what it stands for. But yeah. A Lewis grip sounds like something you use in war. Like World War II. I got a Lewis grip. Floxatine says, Bardwell said Jumper T-Light doesn't have module bay, but it's coming in the future. Yeah, I think the image we had of the T-Light didn't have one or something like that. Speedy Turtle says, you and Bardwell definitely complement each other. Yeah, I think we do, man. We get along very well. That's why we continue to do videos together. He really enjoys me having me on. And like I said, I think the burnout can get real. So if you imagine yourself being Bardwell talking to a computer screen for most of your life, I think having somebody else in that chat definitely helps out. CGK FPV says, I'm very proud and picky of the quality of content I post to my channel. But when I post something I'm not so stoked about, that's always the one people seem to love. That does seem to be the case. It's just really hard for me to put that stuff out. So G-Man FPV is a patron, but he's not on the Discord. He definitely does need to get on that Discord. Make sure you go into Patreon and then get that all linked up so it knows your Discord account. And then all you have to do is go in the description down of this video and you can join the Discord, whether you're a patron or not. You'll get access to most of the Discord. If you're a patron, you get access to the live stream chat and some private information. Maybe I'll give you some leaks early or some things like that. I'm trying to do things for the patrons, but I appreciate you guys helping out. Andy Cooper says, do you think a Diversity Nano RX is worth it for my long-range micro 5-inch DJI video? Probably not. I would probably just run a regular Nano RX. Mouse FPV. Oh, these are good. Mouse FPV says, when I was a kid, the waitress said super salad. I thought she was asking if we wanted super salad. That's a good one. Fatboy FPV says, my son thought crack of dawn was crack of donna. Mouse FPV says, I also thought make ends meet was make ends meet, like putting food on the table. Like meat, M-E-A-T. That's a good one. Huff 19 FPVs here. Good to see you, man. CGK FPV says, Bartle is probably making a video right now. He likely is. He likely is. I think he really enjoys it, though. I will say that. Like, he'll hop out of bed and just make a video because he's really excited to make a video. So, also very, very good. Mouse FPV has a deployment to get done. It's good to see you, man. Thanks so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Andy Cooper says, they always say on local news weather, patchy clouds, but I thought it was Apache clouds like smoke signals from the cartoons. Man, there are a lot of misheard words, man. These are good. Somebody should put these in a book or something. A couple folks have joined the Discord server. Thanks so much for joining, guys. Much appreciate it. Andy Cooper says, when he was 5 a million years ago. I'm glad you've just turned 1,000,005, Andy. Slat FPV says, you, and so does CGK FPV. Welcome to the chat, Slat FPV. Huff19 says, any tips on best GoPro settings for optimal uploads to YouTube? I'm not sure about GoPro, but my recommendation for YouTube uploads is always upload at a very high resolution, because it's gonna like clamp your bitrate down. So you want to make sure to avoid doing that by uploading like 4K. If you upload at 4K, it will scale it down, but it's not quite as bad. Burrito says that I just hear music. Not that I know of, but I do have headphones on, so it's possible I was in another room. Oh boy, Six Pack 1946 says bad mood on the rise equals bathroom on the right. Oh, that's a good one. Fat Boy recommends a Nurk's video on YouTube for GoPro settings. Nurk always has great videos. Sure, that's a wonderful video. Floxatine says high quality videos on Vimeo come out better. That is definitely probably true. Burritos heard elevator music. Toxic asks what tracks I'm flying on Velocidrone. The only thing I've flown lately was the Wootopia track, because they've got that on Velocidrone and on Tiny Whoop Go. Rock you like a hurricane equals raunch you like a hurricane, says Andy Cooper. All right, well, that's coming up on the hour here. Been going for about 2 hours. I do appreciate everyone coming in the chat. I think we covered a gamut of topics. Burritos asks if I'm going to Wootopia. I have a ticket, but I think I'm going to have to sell that because I don't think I'm going to have the money to actually go. So we'll see though. We shall see. Yeah, I've flown it for a very short amount of time, Toxic, but I don't know. Maybe I'll put it in, maybe I won't. It depends. We shall see. Yeah, Burritos' main thing for me is costs. Fortunately, my roommate owes me money. And yeah, it is what it is. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll go, but probably not. Unfortunately. Thanks, guys, for hanging out. I think we're going to end the stream there. It's been about 2 hours. Henry, thanks you for coming by. Henry, how you doing, baby? Oh, Henry, appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being here. A lot of our folks overseas need to go to sleep. I need to take a break, so thanks for stopping by. Just going to do all the plugs real quick. I do have a subscribe button down there. If you haven't hit it, maybe hit that. Hit the like button or the dislike button if you liked or disliked. YouTube doesn't seem to care. They're happy about the dislike button too, because it's all engagement. So hit whichever one you feel is necessary. I've got a Discord you can join. You're welcome to join that for free. If you'd like to become a Patreon, that's also in the description down there. And for as little as $3 a month, you can join my Patreon. Support me. Oh, look at that. Toxic FPV donated some money, man. I do appreciate that. What does that say? Thanks for everything, brother. Thank you so much, man. $5 from Toxic FPV. I also have a direct donation link down in the chat. And probably after this live stream, depending on how many people see this afterwards, I'll probably be monetized by the next time. You guys come in here. So we'll see. You might be able to super chat me next time, but if not, we'll be close. So, again, thanks, guys. Sorry for shilling so much. Take it easy. FPV Trucker, definitely make content. We'll advertise it on here. I'm sure people would like to see your content. More content is better. Yeah, Henry needs to calm down. That's for sure.